Hello, everybody. It's Friday, I think, 3 o'clock Estonian time. My name is Kevin Murcko. I'm CEO here at CoinMetro. This is called an AMA. You ask, I tell. You ask me a question, I answer it. That's kind of how it works. Most of the time, I can answer the questions. I think I got about a 98% hit ratio at this point, maybe even 99. We've done a lot of these, so haven't really missed that many. Yeah. So while I wait for some questions to roll in, usually there's like already 20 waiting for me, but apparently I showed up on time today, so nobody knows what to do. Hey, Bjorn, how are you? Just give you guys a quick recap of the week. It's been a productive week, I think, here at CoinMetro. Most weeks are productive, at least in some way, shape, or form, but we've definitely seen traction in a lot of places that previously we were having a hard time seeing traction, which is great. Hi, Harold, MVB. Bjorn, I already said hi to Bjorn, but second hello to Bjorn. Some good things happening in all directions. Business still growing. We're seeing some stability when it comes to numbers. We're seeing better conversion rates in terms of our full KYC funnels, which is great. We're making some tweaks there, more tweaks to come actually, but definitely helping us keep that ratio from initial sign up all the way to first deposit at an acceptable rate. We still want to raise it, but it is going in the right direction. Here's a question. So are the Texans back in the book yet? No. No, they're not. As far as I know, they're not, I should say, because they could be, I think they have been some way, shape, or form in the book, just much less than they were before throughout most of the time between, I think it was May, when they pulled most of the liquidity out. But no, as far as I know, they're not, at least not yet. But the time frame there is October. So no specific date in October, but definitely October. Hey, Udos, how are you? Nice to see you. So here we go. Bill coming in with a question. What do you think about exchanges offering fiat stablecoin staking? Would CoinMetro ever offer it, or would you need a banking license? You don't need a banking license to do so. It is something that we're talking about. There are ways, look, obviously there are entities, Celsius, Stacked, I think it's called, a few others, that provide interest-bearing stablecoin. You can get interest on stablecoins. Now, those stablecoins obviously don't have proof of stake. They're not actually paying anything based on the protocol level. What they're doing is essentially finding ways to manage their treasury, hedge risk, and then find assets that are yielding, even though you're not giving them one of those assets, right? So you're giving them asset X, they're taking asset X, they're converting it into asset Y, they're hedging the exposure between X and Y, they're gaining the yield and they're paying you yield out. And they may also be loaning as well. So if they're doing loans, obviously they're giving you a portion of whatever they charge. Point is that, yeah, we will be offering these services on fiat. Initially, we're going to be very competitive, I think, on fiat. Why? Because the vast majority of the population, if you made a chart of the entire global population, banked, unbanked, underbanked, and said, what do you guys have in terms of assets? Most people are going to say fiat. The vast, extremely vast majority will say they have fiat. In countries or regions, I should say, like Europe, especially if you have a corporate account, if you have a personal account, you don't get any interest on your euro. If you have a corporate account, for the most part, you're paying interest. So being able to offer interest on corporate accounts and interest on personal savings accounts or checking accounts, checking-like accounts inside of Europe I see as a major win, and we can be very competitive there. In order for us to become more competitive on the stablecoin crypto staking side, there's two things we can do. One, we've already done. We find programs that we list, that we work well with and work closely with, and we become their only centralized source for their staking, bonding, etc. program, like KDA, like Flux. That's a big advantage to us. It allows us to be ultra competitive because there's nowhere else you can go. It makes it easy for the clients to get involved, which is great for the underlying company, protocol, or project. And it's great for us because we're the only ones offering the service. But when it comes to things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., where you can get yield at other places, we aren't big enough. We don't have enough inflows yet to be competitive there. So the goal is to become ultra competitive on the fiat side. And then from the fiat side, as we grow, start to become ultra competitive on the crypto side as well. So definitely things that we're looking to do and will do into 2022. Clote or clote. Would you confirm for the record that we are in fact going to make it? We collectively, I have no idea. We, as in CoinMetro, and those that kind of follow the mantra, I think we're going to make it. Yeah, I would confirm that. But we, as in everybody that might be listening or watching, I'll give you a little bit of a story here, just to say why I can't say that. One, probably make me a moron to say that, but really the reason is look, I used to teach people how to trade. I used to run little webinars, seminars, and teach people about how to look at a naked chart. Also, what indicators were, how to properly use them, kind of like how to properly use credit. If you don't use it right, it's going to kill you. And for the most part, you shouldn't use it unless you really know what you're doing. I wasn't a fan of indicators, to be honest. I was at the beginning when I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, point is that you can teach someone, 10 people the same exact strategy. You can give them the same tools, the same amount of money, the same access, and 8 of them are going to fail right away, and 1 will fail over time. So it doesn't really matter that we're all, quote unquote, here doing the same things. Many of us will fail. But CoinMetro is going to make it. So if you're here with CoinMetro and you're hodling and you're seeing what we're doing and you're kind of riding our coattails, I think you're going to do just fine. Hey, Pete. Hi, Kev. I meant to say hi, Pete, and then you said hi, Kev. Anyway, hopefully that's understandable. Do you have an estimate on launch of the native Terra? I don't, though it is the next thing, let's say, inside of our playbook once we get through, I believe it's Monday afternoon, which is a push forward for some new fixed connections on our liquidity provider. I think that's the next thing on the list. So I don't want to go ahead of the bandwagon here and say a specific date because I don't have one at least sitting in front of me, but it is the next thing on our radar, and it was partially completed before we had to move on because of extenuating circumstances. Deep Philippe, can you tell us more about MD Agency since it got listed yesterday? Many questions about it in the chat. So yeah, I see these little controversy here about them saying they're partnering with AWS. And then, I see the usual nonsense of people saying, that's like if I buy a Big Mac and I say I'm partnering with McDonald's. Yeah, not exactly. There have been, obviously, in the past, especially in crypto, and not just in crypto, though. I say especially in crypto because most people that always say those things have only experienced this in crypto. Thus, they think it's only crypto where you see this type of stuff. It's not. It's in traditional. It's all over the place. Once you have enough experience, you realize that shit happens everywhere. But when your first experience with investing and with trading happens in crypto, you think it all happens in crypto. My first experience really with trading and investing happened in Forex. And I thought back in 98, 97, that it only happened in FX. Then I quickly found out it happens in equities, derivatives, complex instruments, bond markets, and crypto. Now, obviously crypto wasn't around back then. Point is to say that I think there's with that specific question, the truth is in the middle. The fact is they got a grant, which not any company can get, but it's not entirely impossible to get this grant. Basically, you get free servers from Amazon because you're a startup and you present your idea and they say, okay, we're going to go ahead and provide you with whatever, a server that costs roughly €1,000 a month for the first year, and we're not going to charge you. Does that make them a partner? Well, I guess define partner. Second, they have some back and forth with AWS, I believe, on some type of a kind of affiliate arrangement. Does that make them a partner? Well, affiliates for CoinMetro I would call partners. So you can make your own judgment. What I would say is that MD Agency is trying to solve some of the problems that CoinMetro has and many other companies have that try to advertise, especially for what's considered high risk, whether that be gambling, crypto, FX, etc. You have a hard time of being able to buy ads, buy ad space, push media, and then you obviously still have to track it, and small companies don't have the money to go out and, go get an agency that may cost them, X amount of money per month, per year. They simply don't have the wherewithal to be able to do that. So having a company that's going to be able to essentially, sorry that I'm like going on, I was just trying to see if I had my sound on here, is difficult. Most companies can't do that. So That's what they're trying to tackle. I would say read through their slide deck, ask them questions. That's what they're there for. I'm not an expert on MD agency. Our job with that platform is to help businesses raise money. That doesn't mean that we go through and understand every business from top to bottom. We're not listing them. We're not putting them out for people. We are putting the opportunity up for them to raise capital. And we're telling our clients, look, this company needs money. We believe that, that they have some knowledge of what they're doing, right? I mean, we can't fully vet these companies. Why? Because you can't really have a system that's all about access and at the same time not totally, but very restrictive. And so obviously we check the basics. We do due diligence to make sure these people haven't been, convicted of fraud or something along those lines. But we're not going over and above to vet the business itself. However, we do like that businesses are interesting. People like different things. So we want to see businesses that are interesting, that cover a wide swath of global business, right? So we don't want to put all real estate or all tech or all et cetera. We want to put as many different industries as we possibly can. Regarding MD agency, what part of the reason you listed them because you can see yourself personally using their services? Once those services launch, I think absolutely we would probably use some of those services. I think many companies in our position would use some of those services. That is not the reason why we would list something on the Invest marketplace. The reason is someone comes and needs to raise money. We look at the company. We're not vetting the company per se, meaning we're not saying this has the CoinMetro stamp of approval. What we're saying is that we've gone through it. It is a legitimate company. They have a business. They have a business they're looking to fund. They have a strategy. They have a business plan, and they are looking to raise money through our platform in order to potentially launch or grow that business. Again, one of the caveats for us is that we want it to be interesting. We want it to be something that's different. That doesn't mean that it only has to be different, or the more different, the faster we would list something. We want to list things, again, wide swath across global business, not just about fintech, not just about real estate, we want to try to touch as many industries as we can because we want to give a menu of options to our clients, right? If you look at the normal hedge fund strategy, you're going to invest in 30 companies and maybe 2 or 3 are going to do well, but you only need 1 to do really well. And if 2 or 3 or 4 do well, you're going to make a lot of money. And that's it. You don't necessarily have to love or hate or think everything is innovative or super interesting. That doesn't mean you invest in everything either, right? So you as an investor need to understand that even if these things were fully vetted, i.e. CoinMetro was investing in every single company that hit the platform, that doesn't mean you should, right? So you should always do your own due diligence, ask your questions, find out if you think that this company has the legs that it needs in order to go into profitability. And if that's the case, put some money on the table. If not, wait for the next one. Any plans to list FTM? I haven't seen FTM on our radar. To be honest, I'm not even sure what FTM is. But I haven't noticed it on our list, our short lists. So I would say at this point, we don't have any immediate plans. Will you be adding any more cryptos able to stake again soon? Yes, absolutely. We will be adding over time more assets to that earn section of the website. I can't tell you exactly what the next one will be. We obviously have things like IQ protocol for PRQ that we want to integrate. We also have other systems like THT that we already listed that has master nodes, which basically give you a staking model. So there are things that we can already do with infrastructure we already have, and that's probably where we'll start. But absolutely, there will be more and more assets listed in that earn section of the website as time goes on. JP Morgan Chase reported that U.S. government will run out of cash around October 18th unless the Congress raises the limit of the federal debt. Will that impact, what impact may the U.S. default? The U.S. will not default. You must be new to this game. So every time, this happens just about every year. Definitely in the first year of a new president, it's bound to happen 100% unless that president owns or covers, his party owns both houses in the U.S. The debt ceiling always has to be raised. That's simply how the federal government operates. State governments don't usually use ceilings. They just make extensions, and that they just keep moving forward. They have an unlimited budget, and they just make a budget and they move on. If they go over, they go over. The federal government puts in a debt ceiling so that they can have this nice drama every year. And it happens every year to some extent. So you must be new to this. They may decide to not come to an agreement on the 18th, which happens a lot as well. And some of the federal government is going to shut down. It's going to shut down for a day, a month, a week, 3 days, 8 days, whatever. And then eventually the two sides, the House and the Congress, will vote on something and pass it. And the debt ceiling will be raised until, the next time we get to do it all over again. Because, why not? If you think politics makes sense, at least from a high level, then, well, this is going to piss you off. If you understand how politics works, in the fact that everybody's only jostling to be a better politician and look better to their own constituents, which means they don't want to agree to something, even if they like it, if it doesn't show that they haven't tried to put out their own, get their word, get their face on the camera. They want to be on CNN. They want to be on MSNBC. They want to have that headline. So they always fight. They fight and fight and fight, even if at the end of the day, the ideals of both parties are pretty much identical at this point. There's no such thing. It used to be Republicans and Democrats were quite black and white. I'm talking 30, 40 years ago, even 20 years ago. Now they're just all gray. They all do the same things, and they're all just a big waste of time. So U.S. will never default on its debt. You can put that in writing. You can tweet it. You can NFT that tweet. I'll guarantee you 100% that you will never, in your lifetime and in your kids' lifetime, see the United States of America default on debt. It'll never happen. Why? Because there's no reason for them to default. And this is not about default on debt, by the way. This is about the federal debt, which has nothing to do directly with the debt that's owed to actual foreign counterparties. That debt will never be defaulted on. You know why? Think of the US dollar as a shitcoin, an inflationary shitcoin. If they need more dollars, they print more. They mint more. That's it. It's as simple as that. Hit a button, get some more dollars, pay the debt. Not to mention that I think it's 6% of US taxes actually go to pay they're not paying off the debt, they're paying the interest on the debt. And about 6% of US taxes, federal taxes, go to pay off the interest on the debt. And even with the massive amount of money they printed, that can still cover the interest on the debt. Plans to list HBAR. That is being talked about on one of our short lists. So potentially in the near future. Big investors still going to support the book this month? Yes, they are, Myron. Nothing changed there. Hey, Kevin, have the investors, as far as I know, they have not yet. Hey, Kevin, looking good. Terra integration seems to be on the roadmap now. How does that tie with Cadena working on Terra too? That's a good question, Jens. I guess we're both working on Terra. I guess that's how it ties in. I haven't really been in any discussions in the middle of Cadena and Terra. We have had discussions about wrapped assets. That's probably where they're going to be working together most. So that I guess we will probably be working with them on that as well as some point once we start to push out wrapped assets for Cadena. Nobody who buys XCM and HODLs is going to fall. This is the only truth, and certainly in crypto. Well, I appreciate that, Deep Philippe. You said it. Your thought on massive Bitcoin hoard of Chinese government. Will that threaten the whole ecosystem of cryptocurrencies, and they are known to manipulate fiat currency? No. In fact, so nobody's going to like what I'm about to say, especially if you're a super crypto person, you're a maximalist. I'll start here. China owns a lot of US dollars. Every, I don't know, what is it? 5 years, 10 years? There's this cycle that happens where there's a gold, usually it used to be gold bugs that do this. Now it's more crypto bugs, but gold bugs still do it. The Peter Schiffs of the world still do this. So they'll stand up and say that, the dollar is going to crumble. It's no longer going to be the world's reserve currency. That gold is where you should put your money, or if they're in case of a Bitcoin maximalist, it's Bitcoin. Because it's inflationary, it's going to die, and you got Iran buying oil with Chinese renminbi or whatever. They'll throw out some ridiculous statement with a few numbers to make you think that now is the end of the dollar. Now, empirical currencies do die. Average is about 100 years, but that average was over such a tumultuous time in history. Where now modern history is so much different than when we were in the 1200s or the 1500s or the 1800s for that matter. And so the dollar empire is not anywhere close to dying. And there's many reasons for that. We can go down a litany. It's the size of the economy. It's the government. It's the ties that the government has. It's the fact that all these old systems, all these old and ancient systems that we use to move money around the world, whether that be through commodities, through bond markets, are all priced in dollars. There's so many things that we need to change. And those type of things, banks, specifically financial markets, don't like new tech. I mean, they like it. They don't like to integrate it, though. It takes them decades to integrate and by the time they integrate it, it's old, right? Again, I've said this a million times on the show, some banks still use tape backups. Tape. That's a reel that goes like this with another reel over here. It looks like a cassette player, except it's massive. Some of them still use those. Why? Because, quote unquote, they work. And then the day they decide to upgrade, which is today, in 10 years, they'll put today's technology in, which will already be old. Anyway, point is that the traditional market, for as much as we want to shit on it and call it bad and how it works. Now, who does it work for is a great question, which I'm not going to answer right now, but it works, it functions. So what we're seeing with crypto, in the most part, is that it's starting to mimic, and I predicted this back in 2017. You can go back and watch the video, or you can watch any AMA from, crypto will become traditional. Traditional will eat crypto. That's what's going to happen. We have to try to save some of the better ideals of crypto so that it doesn't just turn into same old traditional. But it is, though, because the wealth and income gap, or the wealth gap in crypto, is worse than it is in the regular world. And here you go, right? It's always, people with money are always going to be the ones that can spend more money. And so when Bitcoin became popular and it wasn't considered a joke anymore, guess who was buying it? Governments. Guess who else was buying it? High net worth individuals. Do you think they were doing that and then telling all their buddies on national television about it when they were buying? Of course they weren't. That would be stupid, because then the price would go up. They've been buying for quite a long time. They weren't trading, but they were definitely buying. And so if we mimic traditional in many ways, that's not a bad thing. In fact, that'll help the market get immensely big. And that's what most people want: adoption, 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 adoption. Nobody ever says, I want adoption, but I want adoption to happen differently than it happened in a traditional market. Maybe they should say that, because adoption in the traditional market is all about corruption and illegal activities and coercion and governments patting each other on the back and high net worth individuals evading the rules that everybody else has to follow. But that's what you call adoption in traditional markets. And that's the type of adoption we are starting to see in crypto. It'll get it big. It'll make it massive. It'll reduce the volatility. Is that where we want to go? I don't know. Point is they manipulate their own fiat currency. They're going to have a hard time manipulating Bitcoin. It is OTC. Remember that. Now, I know a lot of people think OTC is, a Russian dude and a guy from Turkey in an alleyway somewhere in Moscow, I don't know, exchanging, rubles for a ledger wallet. Yeah, it is. But OTC means over the counter. It simply means that there's no centralized counterparty. There's no centralized market that creates a price and then everybody follows that price. Every individual market, every individual order book is its own thing, which means that it's very, very difficult, especially as the market right now, they could potentially, they won't though, because they own a ton of it. That would be stupid. But they absolutely can, or won't be able to, in the future, when the market is large enough for each individual market, each individual OTC market is too big for them to be able to sufficiently move price. And when you combine derivatives markets as well, we're not there yet, but we're not that far off. Is 100,000 XCM enough, sir? So tired, sir. I don't know. And what is enough for you? Enough for you might not be enough for somebody else. Define your enough. And then maybe I can help you answer that question. What if you let all users able to copy trade like an eToro? We do that. It's called TRAM. It's called Trade Mirror, copy trading. We already do that. A new version of that is coming out this quarter. It's going to be spectacular. But we absolutely we've had that product almost since 3 years now, I think. What happened to the beard? So the wife happened to the beard, basically. I just noticed that, is it me or is it longer? It looks like I got a really big, does everybody else that I got a really big sideburn? What is this? What's going on here? Anyway, so I had a birthday party to go to on Saturday, and everybody was getting dressed up, so I decided to get dressed up. And then I got dressed up and I had the beard, and my wife said, "You look ridiculous with that beard. You need to shave it." And I said, "I can't shave it." And she said, "Yeah, you can. Here's your shaver." I said, "No, I can't shave it. It's a promise. I have to keep the promise. And then she remembered what happened when we were in Mexico when I had COVID, when we both agreed that I never said I wouldn't trim it. So I trimmed it because she wouldn't go with me to the party if I didn't. And anyway, it was a decent party. It was a nice party. We had a good time. So yeah, it's going to grow back though. I'm not going to shave it. That's for sure. You won't see me with a clean baby face. I can guarantee you that. CB Reflect looks to get into very nice condition again and cross 3 million euro with only 3% open P&L. When can we expect more tram activity to help daily volume more? Well, that's a good question to ask CV Reflect, the guys behind CV Reflect. I know that they said they were going to go active in October. So that hasn't changed. They were waiting basically for Ether to come around more or less to its all-time high so they can free up some of the collateral they have since they had some longs on ETH around the previous top. About the debt ceiling question, they were thinking about minting one coin worth 1 trillion. Yeah, actually, this is nothing new. The ability, there actually isn't anything that says they have the ability to print or mint a 1 trillion coin. What it is that the mint, the federal mint, has the authority to create a platinum coin of any denomination. And why do they do that? Well, there are some very weird reasons that are written in the laws from a long time ago about creating M1 money, which is credit money, which is on a ledger, which is very much like crypto. It doesn't really exist in physical form, or physical money, and how quickly you can then push that money into budgets, move it around the economy, etc. And so with the physical property, it allows them to do some things more agile, and that's why they have this. But that rule's been around, I'm going to say probably, maybe even before Bretton Woods back in the 70s. And that's when we went off the gold standard. Might have been right after, but it's been around for a long time. Somebody will look it up and then clarify, I'm sure. But it's been around a long time. That's nothing new. No, they've never done it before, though, as far as I know. Yeah, again on the hello. Amazing CM crew. Thanks, Jack. Nice to see you. How is the marketing team looking with Paul gone as CMO? So Paul was never CMO. He was, I believe, title was head of marketing. We're not bringing on a head of marketing at the current juncture. We are restructuring marketing into 2 departments. That's marketing and growth. Growth, we have a senior growth specialist who's going to start full-time probably towards the end of this month, early next month. We then have an agency that we're signing papers with, I believe, today. That's going to help us do lots of things we've never been able to do before. And you'll start to see some fruit of that labor towards the end of this year. Remember, I mentioned that towards the end of the year, you were going to start seeing, and into next year, we're going to start seeing the fruit of some of the things we've been doing. Well, that's one of them. We've also hired a consultant out of the US that's going to help us get through a few other issues that we've been having in marketing. And that's going to be on a part-time basis as a consultant. And then we're also looking to send out an offer, hopefully early next week, to essentially an internal marketing strategist who has about 30 years worth of marketing experience, working for an agency where he had clients like Anheuser-Busch, sports teams, etc. Big, massive clients. That's going to help all those pieces strategize and make sure that we're on the right track going into next year and the year after. How is the marketing team? Okay, already talked. Now, happy Friday. Thank you. Happy Friday to you as well. How do you ask questions? That's a question, Ryan. And so you figured it out for yourself. Congratulations. You ask a question by typing it. And since you typed a question to ask me how you could ask one, I assume you already got there. So pat yourself on the back. I meant you let all users able to copy traded, not just a few you selected. So just, well, that probably won't lead to a lot of happy users. eToro, if eToro were to try, I think, to launch their trade book now, it would fail. But they got a lot of legacy users in there that get stuck in there. And I don't really see that as probably a step forward for CoinMetro. I kind of see that as a step back. One, usually you allow copy trading for people that don't understand how to trade so they can follow someone potentially who knows more than they do. But if you leave the decision on who to trade up to them and give them 400,000 different options, it's almost as difficult to pick a good option than it is to just figure out how to trade themselves. Why? Because when you're looking at those options, there are smart people that don't know how to trade that figure out how to make it look like they know how to trade. i.e. only closing positions that are in profit and basically holding on to all the shitty positions so that they look amazing. And that's a simplistic one, but there's many other strategies, and I've seen many of them over the years that make a losing strategy look profitable. And so I think having a smaller menu is actually helpful. And I think doing it the other way might actually hurt more clients than help them. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate that. Can we get a hint of what improvements that, not yet. You won't get hints. You will get the information as we roll it out. Oh, I think I already answered. Well, I didn't really answer it, but I answered it. That's an answer. It's going to be classified as an answer, I guess. Do you think CBDCs will happen soon? Define soon. They will happen. And you know what? It doesn't, right now, you could say that they already exist, to be honest. The thing that people don't realize is that most of the money everybody uses is digital. It's M1, it's credit money. It just exists on a ledger. It's not printed anywhere. There's no physical currency backing it. It's just somewhere on a ledger, whether that's your credit card, your debit card, your bank balance. In fact, you can take M1 money in your credit, in your bank balance and withdraw it in physical money. If you start to think about how all this works, it's going to make your mind go crazy, and you're going to look at crypto in a much different way. You won't be calling them shit coins. You'll just be calling them coins at that point. So central bank issued digital currencies kind of already exist. We're going to be headed in the direction where all money's digital. Why? Traceability. And they'll tell you it's for other reasons. They'll tell you because it's safer for you. They'll tell you because it's cheaper, and it streamlines the process of moving money, which makes money movement cheaper. Which, yeah, it does. But they'll give you a bunch of reasons that are going to sound really sexy and awesome. You're going to be like, wow, you know what? The federal government, the ECB, the Bank of England, these guys are awesome. But at the end of the day, that's already how they move money. The advent of CBDC is not about at the central bank level, even though they're called central bank issued digital currencies. It's about what happens when those CBDCs go from the central bank to the commercial or merchant bank, and then you get them. Because now they know everything you do with their money, your money. They know where you spend it. They know how much you're not spending. They know how much you gave to your grandmother for a birthday. They know how much you gave to your next door neighbor, whatever. They know everything. And they can use that data, one, to predict. Have you ever seen that movie Minority Report, where Tom Cruise, I think it was Tom Cruise, like they true crime, or what's it called, where they can predict who's gonna go out and shoot somebody in the face? You think that was like entirely science fiction? Imagine the amount of data. They already have tons of data on you, right? Especially when you go to like China. I'm trying to say China. I was going to say authoritarian. It's Friday. Give me a break. Governments, they already have a ton of information on you. Now they're going to have information literally on everything you do and your spending habits, right? So if you go online and you buy a subscription to a monthly magazine called I Want to Kill a Bunch of People, and then, go to a gun show and buy a sniper rifle, well, I mean, you're getting arrested, dude. Even if maybe you just like magazines and like collecting sniper rifles. I don't know. Now, before you could have done that in cash. Yeah, well, you can still do it in cash, but digital cash, guess what? Not going to work the same way anymore. So they absolutely will happen. And they're going to do it for all the wrong reasons, but they're going to come up with a great list of reasons why it's going to be awesome for you. And I guess if you're a law-abiding citizen and kind of don't sit in the wrong place at the wrong time, it probably will be somewhat good for you. But central banks are not going to deal directly with clients. They've never done that before. I don't see them doing that now. Clients, I mean people. October looks as the month when XCM buy book will become more supported. How soon after this can we use XCM as collateral? Well, we're going to have to honor the book. I can't really answer that question. Depends on how well support. It's not necessarily about a figure. It's not like, oh, there's 3 million on the buy side, we're good to go. Because if there's 3 million on the buy side, but the sell side has 8, then again, it's about ratio. Now we've cleared out the sell side immensely. I mean, when those investors started buying last time around, I think up to €2, it was 8 to 12 million euros worth of sell side pressure. Now it's 2. We can get to all-time highs with like 500K. So that is going to change the game this time around. We don't need to have a specific set number on the buy side. We simply need a good ratio, and we need to make sure that ratio maintains. That's going to maintain a healthy book. That's going to maintain a healthy price discovery to the upside and the downside. And that's what we want to see. So I can't really give you a time or a figure, but I'm going to be monitoring it. That's for sure. Is there something major happening in the banking and financial sphere this month? I don't know. To be honest, there might be. You know anything specific? Because I can definitely chat about it. But to be honest, nothing really rings a bell. October, Jesus. Maybe there is. I don't know. Let me think about that one. What crypto sector are you most bullish on? I wouldn't call them crypto sectors. I think they're just sectors in general. I think you should always be bullish on infrastructure because that's things like PRQ, KDA, Flux to a certain extent. Why? Well, everybody needs infrastructure. And most companies only build front end. So companies that build infrastructure become very, very valuable, even though they might not be household names. In crypto, it's a bit different. Like Ethereum is infrastructure. Everybody knows what Ethereum is, but that's because it has a token. That's the genius of incentivizing your let's say your client base, or your potential client base with a token. It makes you a household name, which is amazing. That's why all companies will tokenize themselves. I say that all the time. I'm going to say it again though. So what's crypto sector? I think infrastructure has to be one of them. I think outside of infrastructure, and exchanges are infrastructure, by the way. Yep, there might be a lot of them now. That's going to change. There will always be, a good amount of exchanges because there has to be. People need choice. You imagine a financial system where there was two options. Well, you don't have to imagine because we have that fucking system now. In many ways, when you want to do, if you live in a small town or a small country, there might be two banks. They're both owned by the government. Amazing. You do not want a financial system that doesn't have choice. So, but exchanges are also, infrastructure as a whole, I think is probably the most bullish, at least in my mind. There are now 68 billion tethers in circulation. How much further do you think this can balloon before its implosion? And how gravely do you think it will drag down the whole crypto industry with it? I think we're at the point where it won't drag down the crypto industry all that much. Short term, it's going to do something. Long term, I think it does almost nothing. How much it can balloon? Well, I don't think it's necessarily about a dollar figure. 68 billion, 69 billion, 72 billion, 112 billion. I don't think it makes too much difference considering the fact that I'm not sure how much of that money is actually real. Now, that doesn't necessarily lessen the problem. But circulation, everything about Tether tells me that half of that is they're full of shit. But I think what it is, look, governments and government agencies know that when they really try and tackle, they had this little New York State Attorney General inquiry into Tether, and that quote unquote went away. That was step one, right? They want to see who the enemy is, what their story is, agitate them a bit to see what kind of information they give up. Now, I can almost guarantee you there's definitely a federal agencies looking at Tether. Now, the federal agencies want to put together a case that's rock solid. That takes a long time. But they also don't want to disrupt. What they don't want to happen is that they take down Tether and then a bunch of grandmas come out of the woodwork and say that they had money in, Dogecoin, and because Tether went down, they lost their life savings. And so they want to make sure that when they hit it in a way that it lessens market impact, but still provides a major impact for other owners and of different types of similar assets, so that they stop what they're doing or go down the regulated route. So I don't think it's going to happen. If this happened 4 years ago, let's say right after Tether really started to see a few billion in circulation, 10 billion, and it was the major on-ramp for most of Chinese volume and other places, it would have had a bigger impact in the short term. Now I think the short-term impact is going to be quite lessened. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to find my place here. Here we go. What are your thoughts on Monero? Well, we don't list privacy coins. Privacy coins, I mentioned when we said we weren't listing them because of our banking partners, at some point that was going to lessen, meaning that privacy coins would become a bit more normalized. They've become a bit more normalized. We still don't support them, and I don't see us supporting them for some time, if ever, but I do think at some point we probably will. I'm not a huge fan. I'm a privacy advocate personally. I like my privacy. That's why you don't see me posting pictures of on Facebook or whatever when I'm, out of my house. I don't take pictures of the food I eat. I don't take pictures of my family. I don't see why that's anybody's business. And if I think it is your business, then you're probably close enough to me to see it. I don't need to show it to you. So personally, I like privacy. I think there should be privacy in monetary transactions to a certain extent, because at some point, if you give, you can't give the same, you have to give the same rules to everyone. Well, theoretically. And so, I would love for me to be able to have private transactions unlimited. That'd be amazing. But I understand that not everyone does things the way they're supposed to do things. And I don't want human traffickers to be able to move money around unlimited. So there has to be limitations. I think the limitations we currently have now are antiquated, and they don't really make much sense, and they're hard to track, and they don't necessarily catch criminals, because criminals become smarter than the actual limitations. I think the advent of something like CBDCs, the advent of crypto, is going to help make these rules dynamic over time. And when they're dynamic, they'll be shitty at first, and then hopefully, over the years, they will become smart enough so that regular people that are, basically doing things as they're supposed to be doing things, don't get caught up in the mix. So I'm not a huge fan of Monero. I don't really, I understand the reason why the biggest users of Monero use it. I'm not a fan. I don't own any. I don't really see a need to transact in it. But I know there's a massive market that appreciates privacy and transactions. Is it planned to see on our CoinMetro dashboard the current price of the different equities that we bought on CoinMetro, which are hosted at Ignium? Yeah, I can't say it's in short-term planning, but as the Ignium market grows and there's more price discovery and it's more liquid, absolutely. If regulations laws would allow it, what would CoinMetro do if you would not have to trace transactions? If regulations laws would allow it, what would CoinMetro do if you would not have to trace transactions? Well, if we didn't have to do transaction monitoring, then we would probably still do it, because the data helps us service our clients better. But we would apply those rules differently if we weren't obligated to apply them in certain ways. What I am interested to know, what is your vision in regards to this? I think I answered the question. If not, Philippe, let me know. What's your thoughts on what coin will dominate after ETH goes to POS? ETH. Hey, Kev, do you feel this quarter will be the best this year in regards to CM marketing and awareness? There's a lot going on under the hood, which will mean next year will be an extremely different year from what this year was for marketing and awareness. Absolutely black and white. Nothing will look the same. This quarter, however, visibly, hard to tell. I think we're gaining in popularity regardless. Our brand is becoming more aware regardless. So probably yes, just because of natural progression. Do you think it's possible to outlaw crypto in the EU? It's possible. It's not probable. Which means I don't think it's going to happen. Is it possible? Of course it's possible, but I don't see it happening. It's time for one of the small increases in XCM stake. We're modeling some numbers right now to see what the next step is with XCM staking. So I'll leave it there. Thumbs up. Thank you, Jens. Appreciate that. I may tail out of here a few minutes early. Oh, before I even talk about tailing out of here, some new merch. You guys want to see this one? See that? It's got my name on it. Okay. Yeah. So it's not in the store yet, but it will be. Also, let me see if I can do this. I don't know how flexible I am here. So if I fall over and you hear something crack, that's probably my back. That's a sock. There you go. Okay. So imagine me doing this on the Home Shopping Network, trying to sell this merchandise. Like a fucking idiot. Okay. All right. That's by the way, that's CoinMetro.store. As part of being regulated, is CoinMetro required to send user information to tax authorities? No, we're not. We do not voluntarily or automatically send information to any tax authority. I don't, as far as I know, we've never had a request from a tax authority. We have had requests from police and the like, and banks. But as far as I know, not tax authorities. In order for us to provide that type of information, one, we would need to be, when it comes to police, when police ask, sometimes we don't provide either. It depends. It depends on the request. There's been times where police have asked for information and we've only given them cursory information because they didn't have a warrant. There's no obligation for us to provide that information. When it comes to the tax authority, it'd be something similar. It really depends on the request and who's asking for it. But as far as I know, we have never gotten one of those yet. And I don't expect we will, at least in the short to medium term. Any increase in staking percentage returns, as said, currently modeling numbers. What do you think about the last Shiba run? I think meme coins are interesting and a complete fucking waste of time. And eventually won't exist. New merch, yep, boom. After interoperability, what do you think the next big challenge for the crypto industry is? I think interoperability, if you're trying to make current protocols inoperable, is probably not all that important in the long term. And if you're creating an interoperability standard, then you're basically saying that you don't think at any point we're going to have any mass use of a single infrastructure, which is also probably not the right way to be thinking. Or at least leaning. So interoperability is a big thing now. I don't know how big it's going to be in the future. I think UX is still the major thing that's holding most of crypto back, is user experience. Appreciate that, Susan. Thank you. Kevin plushies. Oh boy, imagine how bald Kevin plushie sitting next to you on the couch watching TV. Fucking amazing. Cool shoes. Thanks. No scam post today. Yeah, right. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, they used to be all over us. Maybe they just gave up. I don't know. Do you think THC has the potential that Hathor or Cadena have already reached? If you're talking about price, sure, they do. They're both Cadena and Hathor are two very different things, so I don't see them both having the same potential. In terms of price, any token in crypto can go to any price, to be honest. Lots of times there's no rhyme or reason. Somebody just mentioned Shiba, so. I was in both XCM and Cadena thingies, and I wanted to express you and CM handled it very well. Appreciate the openness. I more than tripled up on the free XCM I got. Really do appreciate that, big guy. Look, we make mistakes. Shit happens. Systems break sometimes. Systems are, exploited or, whatever. It happens. It sucks. It doesn't just happen in crypto. It doesn't just happen to CoinMetro. I've seen this happen in FX many, many times, and I've seen the excuses I got from liquidity providers and banks, big banks. I'm talking the biggest banks in the world that were not transparent and simply just kind of blatantly pushed information under the rug. Even when I knew what happened, I couldn't get the information. So, bad stuff happens. I think the most important thing we can do when stuff happens like that is not hide, is not go run in the corner and cry about it, is not try and make up all the excuses we possibly can, is to be as upfront with it, fix it, move on, but be as transparent as we possibly can about it. And, eat some shit sandwiches along the way. And I ate my fair share of shit sandwiches. But that's my job. CEO literally means you eat shit sandwiches. You also run through fire at the same time as you eat shit sandwiches. It's a unique combination. Are individuals able to sell stuff on the CM store? Not currently. I would 100% buy Kevin plushies. I don't know if that should make me smile or I should be a bit scared, but I'll choose to smile. Tell my buddy Pete to buy XCM. He's undecided. Pete, man, come on, man, Pete. Listen. You got to come in here and tell me one reason why you shouldn't buy XCM. I mean, I could come up with 1,000 reasons why you should. It's kind of hard for me to think of one why you shouldn't. I'll try to think of a reason why you shouldn't, Pete. But until then, I mean, you should be buying like everybody else. What problem happened with Cadena? I missed it. Well, it wasn't a problem with Cadena. It was a problem with, it was an issue related to a rebalancer we used to balance liquidity between the Euro and USD books. Without going into the whole thing again and rehashing it, basically what happened is someone sent so many orders on our main execution book, which is the Euro book, that it took the rebalancer offline, but left latent prices in the book. Latent meaning old. When those old prices were hit, they were filled, but then the other side of the trade sat in the book till the next order came in. So basically, people got euros or dollars out of thin air, which all that did was raise client liabilities toward CoinMetro. So essentially, it was kind of like CoinMetro's money, but CoinMetro didn't get the other side of the trade. So yeah, that was the issue. We found it, spotted it, fixed it, and then had to go back and revert every trade that was only filled on one side of the order. So that's essentially what happened. In a nutshell, what is your current thoughts on Parsec? I'm still bullish on Parsec. I think they're doing great things. They're going to do more great things. I think the service they have is quite unique. You can see they do have a competitor in Graph. Graph came out after Parsec. I think Parsec is doing things that Graph isn't. They have a much more, I think, complex ecosystem, and they're building out different tool sets for many different use cases. And with more and more data being moved around these type of protocols, blockchain and the like, a service like Parsec is one that pretty much any entity will need to use to be able to interact with that data, disseminate that data, create actions based on that data. It's, I think it will be a go-to tool for a vast majority of industries that are moving and or transacting in any type of data on blockchain. Maybe I should go get a job at Parsec, man. That was amazing. They should take that snippet and put it on Twitter. The price will probably go up to 10 euros or something. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it off here. I know we still had a few minutes left, but I got to prepare for our meeting, hopefully, unless I get sidetracked, which, happens. But today was Friday. What still is Friday? Today's Friday. You know what you're supposed to do. Spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it, I was going to say personally. What happened to me? If you can't do it in person or physically, do it virtually. You know what that means. Zoom, Skype. I don't know why I would say Skype, but if you're like 90 years old, you might use Skype. So Skype, and then you got WhatsApp, you got Telegram, TikTok. Yeah, I guess you don't communicate through TikTok. I don't know. Don't use TikTok, please. That thing's got to go away at some point. If I see one more person dancing to music and pointing at words on the screen, I'm throwing all my phones out. Anyway, so spend time with friends and family. Say hi to people. Tell them that you miss them. Tell them whatever you want to tell them. But make sure when you finish saying whatever you want to say, again, make sure you tell them to buy XCM, because that's the gift that keeps on giving. It is almost the end of the year. That means Christmas is coming up. All those holidays, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa. The best Kwanzaa gift, by the way, for everybody listening, is XCM. It's proven. It's a fact. It's written down somewhere. I don't remember where. Don't ask me to quote it. So have a great weekend. Thanks for all the questions. I really do appreciate it. If you have a question for me that wasn't answered here and you want me to have an attempt to answer your question, you can tag me on Telegram at Kevin Murcko. You can also tweet me on Twitter at Kevin Murcko. Have a great weekend. See you guys here next week, and hopefully see you on Twitter over the weekend. Cheers.